Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mingus Mondays live. Not at the Jazz Standard, clearly, because we're quarantining, but we're still able to bring you the music of Charles Mingus. And special thank you to the Jazz Workshop for continuing Mingus Mondays. My name's Lauren Sevian. I'm one of the baritone saxophonists with the Mingus Big Band. And tonight I'm going to present you a program called Charles Mingus's Sounds of Love. So we're going to be going through some of his ballads. I tried to choose some of his lesser known ballads just to give you a little bit of insight into the pen of Charles Mingus. Charles Mingus was not only a prolific bass player, virtuosic bass player, in fact, but also a wonderful composer and lyricist. So I'm going to share with you some of my favorite ballads and also some lyrics. And please feel free to comment, leave questions. We will be taking questions throughout the hour. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. I would actually like to dedicate this broadcast to my father, who 4 years ago passed away suddenly, but he really inspired me in my passion for jazz. He had so many recordings and just, exposed me to this great music. So I'd like to dedicate this to him. And speaking of daughters, this first number is a tune called Carolyn, Kikai Mingus, and this was written for Charles's daughter. So hope you enjoy. Here we go. All right. That was Carolyn Kikai Mingus. That was written for Charles's daughter. We actually just recorded that. The big band was in the studio earlier this year. And I was lucky enough to get to play on that tune. So we're going to continue on with a really beautiful composition that Charles composed for Duke Ellington. This is called Duke Ellington Sound of Love. Before I play the melody, I'd like to just recite the lyrics to you. Not going to sing the lyrics. Don't want to hear that. But the words are just so beautiful. So I just wanted to show you what an incredible lyricist Charles was. I was young and carefree. Not a song had found my soul. Lost in blues, jazz, and ragtime. No sound had got to my mood. I was searching for my melody. Love blues that gets me wooed. All alone, sad clown with his circus closed down. Lost on my merry-go-round came a melody in my heart so yearning. Taught me to hear music out of love, from the soul. For this life we all live, infinite, with the lover and beloved, as one Ellington sound of love. taught me to hear music out of love. That's what this is about. That's why we're here. It's a love thing. It's a community thing. And Charles loved Duke Ellington. So here we go. Duke Ellington, Sound of Love. All right. That was Duke Ellington's Sound of Love. So, once again, if you're just joining us, we are celebrating the music of Charles Mingus, Sounds of Love. Start off with Carolyn and just play Duke Ellington Sound of Love. I'd like to take a moment to give a shout out to everyone tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all the cats and kittens of the Mingus Big Band. Miss y'all. Looking forward to playing again in a more live situation, live together. And also, if you would like to support this broadcast and also the Mingus bands, we have a PayPal link, paypal.me/MingusBands. So please, if you feel so inclined to give a little donation, that'd be much appreciated. I think we're going to take some questions if there are any. I'm going to throw it over to Liz from Jazz Workshop. Liz, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Liz, hello.
Hello. Thank you, Lauren, for being here. This is a really special occasion, after Mother's Day, sort of following it up with this nice selection of love songs from Charles Mingus. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start from the beginning. How did you first meet Sue and get involved with the big band?
Well, I actually first met Sue back in 2003. I was subbing in the band. Actually, a great saxophone player, Mike Sim. I had met him through. I had done this recording session with Ada Ravati, great tenor player. She had a funk band called Ella Funk, and Mike Sim was engineering the session, and he was playing with the Mingus band, and he asked me if I'd ever want to sub for him, and I was like, of course, I would love to, you know. So he sent me to sub for him one night, and I met Sue, and you know, it was funny because at first she was like, I don't think she thought I was going to be on the gig, and it was a little awkward because she's like, "Where's Mike Sim?" And I said, "Well, Mike's out here, but I am." And she's like, "Okay, you know." But she was really really cool, and I was at first though I thought, "Oh God, I messed that up," but you know, I wound up subbing, and then a few months later she started calling me regularly, and that was back in the Fez days. So 2003, it's been 17 years. So that's when I first met Sue, and I mean, just such a treat to meet her and get to know her and get to play with the band. Is you know, the band is like family to me. So and I just love this music.
Absolutely. What is your favorite part about exploring Mingus music?
I just feel like I'm I'm always discovering something new, you know, um, and really to study this music it's a lifetime of work, you know. But I find so much inspiration when I listen to these beautiful melodies. I mean, that's kind of part of why I wanted to put this, you know, do a focus on these ballads, because I feel like they really demonstrate just what a strong writer he was, but also the music is so real and powerful, you know. So I think that's just what I'm drawn to, you know. And if you know Mingus's music, it's not just, I mean, this is just a small part, the love songs. I mean, there's political pieces, there's powerful, bombastic, you know, work, epitaph. I mean, there's just so much work, and for me, it's exhilarating to just have the opportunity to learn this music and to be around all these great musicians that are a part of the Mingus band. So it's just means a lot to me.
Absolutely. I'm getting a note that I'm coming out very faintly.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Is there a way maybe I
I
can?
just turned you up, and I'm trying to
Does that sound? Is that a little better?
I
Is
mean,
it a little
I
better in
just
the
turned
audience?
you. Yeah, Liz, I just turned you all the way up. So hopefully that makes it a little better. I'm trying to rephrase your questions in the form.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
Your
say
questions in the form
at
of a.
minimum you could do
My
one,
answer
two.
is in the form of a question. There we go. That's
Yeah,
what I was looking
absolutely.
for. I found it. Okay. So hopefully people can hear you a bit better, and I'll try to angle the mic a little bit more when you're asking. So
maybe we could try that.
yeah.
Do you have any good stories from the band on tour, or
Mm.
any notable? I'm
There
sure
are,
there
I
are.
mean, ones that I could tell on this broadcast. um, well, I guess I'll just say that, you know, the thing about playing music is that you should just be prepared for anything. And when I say anything, I mean, you know, every Mingus tour I've ever done has been memorable in one way or the other. Um, but I will just share that I've had some of the most fun travel and most testing travel experiences probably with the band. I recall doing a 24-hour bus ride from southern Spain to northern France, um, where we were on a coach bus, which was meant to be a sleeper bus, but that meant that the seats flipped up and you could sleep across them. So I'm sure some of the cats that were on that tour that maybe tuned in remember that, or maybe they blocked it out because it was just horrifying. Um, but I mean, that being said, there's a lot of sacrifice in, you know, being on tour, and you just have to roll with it. Just like right now, we have to roll with what's happening. We can't fight it. We just have to keep doing what we do, and we'll get through it. And so I guess you could think of this quarantine time as one long 24-hour bus ride from
Coach.
southern southern Spain to northern France. But always just fun travel experiences. I when I first started playing with the band, I got to sit next to John Stubblefield for 2 years, and I miss him a lot. He was very much like, um, when I first started playing with the band, he would always just, kind of coach me and, like give me great advice, but in just such a way that was, you know, gentle, and would give me criticism, but in like the most beautiful way, like
Yeah.
so that I accepted it really well, and I learned a lot sitting next to him, and um, having the chance to do that was pretty amazing.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe let's round it up with this. What? How is it different playing Mingus's music, um, in compared to other composers that you play frequently?
Um, how is it different? I guess. I don't know if it's for me. I guess the difference is how it's different. I'm so mindful of the compositional aspect always,
Yeah.
and not that I'm not mindful of it in other situations, but just especially in this situation when I'm playing Mingus's music, I'm always thinking about the melody. I'm always focused on that, and that kind of goes without saying for playing most music, but for me it's just always such a challenge to really. I try to treat the music with respect, you know um, because a lot of the time, like when we're playing our own original material, we're playing the music of our peers, we're all there to really kind of give each other to coach one another. But Charles isn't here physically, so we have to be able to interpret the music in the way that hopefully he would see fit. So for me, I always trying to be mindful of that. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing, amazing. I
Okay.
might squeeze. I'm gonna squeeze one more question.
Okay.
Squeezing it in.
Absolutely.
We got a comment. Even Mingus's small groups have a big band sound.
Mm.
How do you deal with this challenge playing this solo section?
Well, I'll just say that playing solo saxophone is it puts you in a very vulnerable place, and I think it's really good to um, take on things that scare you, because that's the only way that we can grow. And to go into the situation and think that you're not going to make a mistake, or you don't know how to handle the music. It's we're human, at the end of the day. And playing, I only have myself to be responsible for. I'm not playing with other people, so in a way it's like I have to lean on the music even more. Do you know what I'm saying? Versus like when I am in a situation where I get to, be part of a collective, and that's a completely different energy, you know. But at the same time, even though I am playing on my own, I'm trying to tap into like the energies of other people that I've played with to, to kind of help me along the way. Um, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, no. The spirit moves you.
Yes, yes, as it should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you continue on, and
Okay.
we'll circle back after.
Thanks, Liz.
Of course.
All right. Once again, we are celebrating the music of Charles Mingus, and thank you for being here. Um, and we are going to continue on with our Sounds of Love theme. I'm going to play you now another beautiful ballad. I'd like to read you the lyrics first. This is called Portrait. I've seen all kinds of pictures, most of the beauties of the world. From places I've traveled, I still recall this quaint melody as I thrill, painting my own pictures and tones. I've painted all Mother Earth, both flowers that brave the morn. Tones color the life she's born. I've tried to paint her beauties, from radiant skies to deep blue seas. The sky, as she changes her glamour, dawn's pale blue sunset's amber. The winds and the rains, the lull on the plains, leaves on the ground, mountains gray-brown, tipped with a dash of glowing white snow. Okay, that was Portrait. Beautiful, beautiful Mingus composition. Um, so I think I'm going to share with you, just do a little, I guess, housekeeping, as we say. Not housekeeping, but just to share our wares with you. There's this great book, More Than a Fake Book, that has many of Mingus's compositions in here. You can purchase this at Hal Leonard, along with Play Along, many other great books that will help you get this music together. And also, if you haven't done any reading yet this quarantine, I mean, you should read these books anyway. This is a great book that was written by Sue Mingus. It's called Tonight at Noon, and it's a love story. I'd like to just read the back of it because it's just so well written. And for those of you that don't know, Sue Mingus is a really great writer. So here's an excerpt. We walked for a few blocks and caught a cab in front of the Plaza Hotel, where he said it was easier to find a driver who overlooked the color of your skin in favor of the green inside of your wallet. In the middle of our ride, Mingus changed his mind about dinner and said there was something important he needed to show me first. He ordered the driver instead to Grand Central Station. When we arrived, he jumped out of the cab and swiftly led me down the stairs, hurrying through the halls and corridors until we reached a corner that echoed our voices along a wall. I waited at one end of the long wall while he spoke in a low whisper from the other side. Unexpected words of tenderness that roared from across the room, shy words of love that slid along the grimy walls of Grand Central Station, as distant and unreal as the graffiti they swept past. I love you, he was saying. I want you to be my woman. I laughed off his words. They were sounds in a station from a man I hardly knew. Still, I went on listening. Sue Mingus. The words of Sue Mingus. Beautiful. Check this book out. It's fantastic. And Beneath the Underdog, classic read, a autobiographical account of the life of Charles Mingus in a very grandiose style. Just a fantastic, just read it. And so I think I'm going to play one more before we go to some questions. And it's a little bit of a backstory on this tune. The name of the tune is entitled Love's Fury. And when I first started playing the tune with the band, I did my due diligence and looked for a recording of it, and I never was able to find one. And I spoke to, I remember asking the bassist in our band, Boris Kozlov, like, so what's the deal with this tune? And he said, well, Charles never recorded it. It was really just a sketch that was discovered that was wound up being an arrangement for the band, for the big band recording they did tonight at noon, 3 or 4 Shades of Love. And Cy Johnson, who is our chief arranger, shout out to Cy and Lois if you're watching. I had a very interesting conversation with Cy about the background to this tune. And he said when they acquired it from the Library of Congress, it was really just a sketch. So he sat down at the piano, worked out the arrangement, and in the spirit of Charles Mingus, developed this absolutely gorgeous rendition of Love's Fury, which, sometimes as composers, we wind up having material that just doesn't get recorded and just winds up, sitting on the shelves. So this is a really beautiful testament to the musical relationship that Charles and Cy had together, because Cy just really brought this arrangement to life. And as he described to me, the Fury part is the intro. So I'm going to try to express that the best as I can without the entire Mingus big band behind me, but I'm going to be trying to channel the big band's sound to support this furious intro, and the furious intro leads into a very tender ballad. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoy Love's Fury. All right, that was Love's Fury, um, one of Charles Mingus's earlier works. Again, it was recorded that he not it was never recorded, but it was there was a record of it being copywritten in 1943. Um, and again, just a bit from the beautiful arrangement that Cy Johnson did for the big band, and also a fascinating story of the connection between the 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 music and the arrangement. Um, so yeah, I think we're gonna go back to some questions and let's see, Liz.
Hey.
Hey, Liz. Hopefully everyone can hear you.
I'm gonna pick right up because you said something that I sort of segued nicely into a recent question that just got added into the comment section about connection.
Mm.
And the comment goes,
Okay.
Mingus is renowned for the personal emotions expressed in his compositions and the way he can convey that feeling to his audience,
Yes.
whether it's joy, sadness, anger, or despair.
Yeah.
Is there a particular composition of his that connects most deeply on a personal level for you? Could you talk about the emotional connection a little bit?
Mm. Um. Wow. There are a lot of his compositions that that really speak to me. Um. Actually, um, this this tune, I think, um, I would say I was always really drawn to it. Um, Maybe it's because of the title or just the the expressiveness of of the composition and of the arrangement. Um, Love's Fury. I mean, as we know, love can be a very complicated emotional emotion. It's not. There are many different types of love, and love isn't always blissful. Love can have tones of fear, can have tones of anger, um, and there were, I guess, many. It's interesting because when I first played this song, I was in probably a very um, different, I'll say different, different phase of my life, um, and and um, it definitely spoke to me in a way that I was able to kind of use it as an outlet. And I had the recording tonight at noon, and I had really practiced along with the recording before I had even played this tune with the band. Um, and even just playing along with it with the recording, I felt a personal connection to it just because I had been through many different kinds of love in my life, as most of us have, you know. And I think it's important to be able to, um, you know, connect to the different aspects of love in order to grow. You know, it's not just always this perfect thing. It's far from it. So that piece always really spoke to me. If I had to give one example, but they really all speak to me in different ways. Yeah, but
Amazing.
fantastic question. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a nice question.
Yeah,
Um,
Bernard, I see your name. Thank you. Appreciate that.
uh, I guess sort of switching gears, another question we got was, do you get asked to do a lot of doubling in the group? And can you talk about that for a little bit?
Not really. The only time I did doubling was when we performed Epitaph, and back in like 2007. And my book was piccolo, flute, clarinet, and baritone. I mean, it was mainly baritone, but there were some parts, like I remember there was this piccolo part that every time I had to play it, I'd literally be shaking because it was like a solo arpeggio, and if I didn't play it a certain way, I'd have Gunther looking at me like he knew, he knew that part. he was, he's like, I'm waiting for it, and I'm trying to just like not, I was like shaking, holding the piccolo up, and I got, and I was sitting next to Ronnie Cuber, and Ronnie's, he would always say to me like, don't worry. I remember, when we were playing that, like, because when they first did Epitaph back in the '90s, he's like Roger Rosenberg was afraid of that part too. So I was like, okay, I didn't feel so bad because Roger's such an amazing player, and if he's afraid of it, it's okay for me to be afraid. So,
Yeah.
but as
Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience with Epitaph since it's such a monumental work, you know?
sure. So yeah, like I said, back in it was I believe it was 2007. Um, we performed Epitaph. There were four, I think it was 4 or 5 different performances throughout the country, and it was just an amazing experience getting to, it's almost like a double big band kind of a situation, and you get to like sit next to people that you normally wouldn't get to work with. Like I got to, because there's 2 baritones in that, I got to sit next to Ronnie, and uh, you know, getting to sit next to him and is sort of a rare thing because with 2 baritone players usually are not like on the same gig together. So
Right,
that was
right.
really just fun and cool, and then also a lot of the members of the Mingus Orchestra, got to sit next to Mike Rabinowitz and Doug Yates, and it was just so much. It was such an amazing learning experience, and getting to perform something like that Charles never saw really got to see to fruition in his lifetime. So I take the responsibility of that really seriously. But I remember it was a lot of intense rehearsing, 6 7 hour rehearsals, and um, but just it was just a great experience. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Um, Gunther.
yeah,
You got to work with Gunther.
yeah.
Do you have any standout stories with him?
Um, there is.
Is it one of those? Is it like a
It's maybe one for. Well, I'll just say this. Gunther seemed to. Gunther seemed to have a kind of confidence in me at that time of my life I didn't know that actually existed. So, I would speak to him sometimes after rehearsals, and, um, you know, it was nice to have these talks with him because it made me feel like he must think I know what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But getting to work with him is, not a lot of people get to say that they got to work with somebody like Gunther Schuller. So it's an honor for me
Absolutely.
that I, had that experience.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and you find yourself a lot these days. I see that you're teaching, you're presenting a lot and you're teaching and specifically you've been involved with the Charles Mingus High School competition and festival
Yeah.
and we haven't really touched on that on
We
this
haven't.
series, the festival experience, and I wanted to maybe pick your brain on how you thought or how you feel Mingus uh, influences that generation of musicians and how that works.
What was so interesting to me is that, I mean, and this is the same for myself, when I knew about the Mingus Big Band before I really knew about the music of Charles Mingus, you know, um, and I think that what especially like what Sue and what Jazz Workshop have done to make this music so accessible to everybody is magnificent. And now is part of, it's a really big part of jazz education, meaning like this is an important part of the repertoire. Like I can't tell you how many schools I've been to and they're all learning this music, and they all love it so much. I mean, and this is how we're going to continue on his legacy, is by doing these festivals and these competitions, and having schools, you know, learn this music. But anytime that I, ever work with a group, or a school, I always say you have to go check out Charles Mingus's recordings. Don't just check out the big band recordings; those are great too. I'll
Mm-hmm.
I'll,
Mm-hmm.
I'll vouch for that. But it's important to go and check out, the recordings of Charles Mingus. I mean, I have a stack of them here that are some of my favorites. But um, yeah. So
Yeah. We have one question I missed actually.
okay.
What's your favorite venue to play with the Mingus Big Band?
Oh wow. Well, I mean, I miss the jazz standard. We're
Oh
there all
yeah,
Mondays,
true.
and it's interesting because I've throughout the years we've played at several different clubs, all great clubs, but the jazz standard has really become such a home for the music of Charles Mingus, you know. Um, and this definitely has to be my favorite venue to play the music, without a
Absolutely.
doubt.
We miss you. We miss you, Jazz Standard.
Yeah, thank you, jazz standard. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's close out with what does Mingus mean to you?
Wow. Um, it's a really heavy question. I mean, this music, Charles Mingus. I mean, it means a lot to me. I mean, without just, pointing out the obvious, it means a lot to me. So much of this music, I feel like, is become inherent in my playing, you know? Like, I, I've never had music like this just stuck in my head all the time, you know? Like, I'll be singing something, I'm like, wait, what is that? Oh, it's some Mingus tune, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really the music has become such a big part, I feel like, of my identity as a player, you know. Um and to me, playing this music feels like home, and I think that we really are looking for that right now. I mean, spending all this time at home, we want something that's gonna kind of comfort us, and playing this music is very comforting to me, you know, because it's familiar now. It's I mean, I still have a lot to learn, but it's familiar to me, and I just love it so much. I miss playing every Monday, you know. I miss playing with the cats of the band.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. This was a great night.
Thank you, Liz.
Nice, different texture of sound. Still Mingus spirit, but
Yeah.
the love side.
Yeah, you got to do sounds of Mingus, sounds of love, because I mean, of course we can do some of the classics, and I think that's great, but I definitely wanted to kind of touch on some of the rarer, maybe unknown um compositions of Mingus, just to pique people's
Yeah,
curiosity a little bit.
absolutely.
So
No, we
hopefully,
love it. We love it.
yay.
And also, I just wanted to mention you actually gave him a shout out earlier, but next week we're going to have Michael Rabinowitz for.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yeah.
mhm.
We sat next to each other during Epitaph, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. We're going to take a trip over to the Mingus Orchestra catalog, which would be, fun to go down that trip.
Yeah.
And thank you. Thank you for this.
Yeah,
We
my
did take
pleasure.
a trip to our Mingus home every Monday, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you and see you hopefully very soon.
Thanks for having me. And one more time for the support the broadcast, paypal.me/MingusBands. Thank you. We love you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong. All right. Take care, everybody.